There comes a moment in every life when the world tests the strength of your spirit. It will shake your confidence, challenge your faith, and press upon your mind with doubt, fear, and limitation. It is not personal, this is the way of the world. Life mirrors back to you the vibration you hold within, and if your inner world is fragile, the outer world will reflect that fragility. The world does not break you because it is evil. It breaks you because you have not yet claimed your divine authority. Ruthlessness, in this context, is not cruelty. It is not hardness toward others. It is the unshakable determination to protect your inner kingdom from the intrusions of fear, from the suggestions of failure, and from the voices that insist you are less than powerful. To become ruthless is to become unwavering in your alignment with truth. It is to refuse entry to any idea that contradicts your destiny. Every challenge you face is simply the world asking, how firmly do you believe in your own power? When something threatens to break you, it is revealing the exact place where you have surrendered control of your mind. It shows you where you have given permission to doubt. And so the world does not defeat you, it exposes you to yourself. When you understand this, you stop fearing adversity. You start recognizing it as a sacred teacher. The ruthless soul knows this. Whatever I accept becomes. Whatever I reject dissolves. Whatever I affirm manifests. The world bows to the one who knows the laws of mind. But the world crushes the one who drifts unconsciously, absorbing thoughts of failure, scarcity, and impossibility. You cannot afford to be casual with your thoughts. You cannot afford to entertain the idea that you are powerless. You cannot afford to let circumstances dictate your inner state. Ruthlessness means you guard your thoughts the way a warrior guards a sacred gate. You do not let worry enter. You do not allow fear to sit at your table. You do not permit the past to define your future. You choose your words with precision because you know they are commands to the universe. You choose your emotions with intention because they are magnets attracting your experiences. You choose your focus with discipline because whatever you give energy to grows. When life rises against you, declare within, I walk with the invisible forces of good. Nothing can break me. Nothing can move me. Nothing can take what is mine. Every time fear knocks, respond with faith. Every time doubt whispers, answer with certainty. Every time circumstances threaten, stand in your spiritual authority and say, not in my world, not in my mind, not in my life. Ruthlessness is the refusal to negotiate with limitation. The world will break you if you let external conditions shape your internal truth. But the moment you decide to live from your inner power, the world begins to rearrange itself to match your conviction. People change, opportunities shift, pathways open. What was once impossible quietly becomes inevitable. You must be ruthless in protecting your vibration, ruthless in casting out negative prophecy, ruthless in speaking only what you desire, ruthless in affirming your worth, ruthless in holding the vision even when the physical world has not yet caught up. Life responds to the one who stands firm. When you refuse to collapse, the world has no choice but to support you. When you refuse to entertain defeat, defeat cannot enter. When you refuse to believe in struggle, harmony begins to flow. Remember, the world is not stronger than you. It can only break what has not yet learned to stand. Stand. Hold your ground. Affirm your power. Become ruthless in your faith, and the world will no longer break you, it will bend for you. Ruthless mastery over your inner world creates unbreakable power because every experience you encounter in life is shaped first by the thoughts you permit to operate within. The world tests you, challenges you, and attempts to shake you not because it is inherently against you, but because every external situation mirrors an internal state that has yet to be claimed, strengthened, or purified. When you understand that your outer life is the echo of your inner convictions, you begin to recognize the necessity of becoming unwaveringly deliberate in your thoughts, your emotions, and your responses. Mastery of the inner world is not achieved through effort alone. It is achieved through discipline, awareness, and the refusal to let the chaotic winds of circumstance govern your state of mind. It is ruthlessness in the most spiritual sense, the boldness to guard the gates of your consciousness with absolute firmness. When you do not exercise control over your inner world, external conditions seem overwhelming, unpredictable, and often hostile. But when you establish command within, the same external conditions lose their ability to intimidate or destabilize you. They may still arise, but your interpretation of them changes, and in changing your interpretation, you change the experience entirely. A situation that once threatened to break you becomes an opportunity to confirm your strength. A challenge that once triggered fear becomes a chance to refine your clarity. A setback that once felt devastating becomes a reminder to reassert your intention. Everything shifts because times shift. Ruthlessness means no longer allowing your mind to drift into patterns of fear or weakness. It means refusing to repeat old stories that diminish your power. It means deciding that your thoughts must obey the vision you hold, rather than the circumstances you see. True inner mastery begins with the realization that your mind is always at work, shaping reality through focus, belief, and feeling. If you do not direct it with precision, it will default to the suggestions of the world around you, suggestions of limitation, defeat, fear, and doubt. These suggestions come from people, from past experiences, from memories, from cultural narratives, and from the collective belief in struggle. If you are not ruthless, these ideas slip into your consciousness quietly and begin to operate as truth. Once they take root, they influence your decisions, your mood, your expectations, and your actions. Without realizing it, you begin living a life shaped not by your desires, but by your fears. Ruthlessness is the conscious refusal to allow any idea to enter your mind unless it serves your highest intention. When you practice ruthless mastery over your inner world, you develop an unshakable core that cannot be dissolved by criticism, setbacks, or uncertainty. You remain centered even when others lose composure. You remain confident even when results have not yet appeared. You remain peaceful even when chaos surrounds you. You remain purposeful even when the path is unclear. This strength is not arrogance, it is alignment. It is the recognition that your power does not come from the outer world, but from the eternal source within you. As you hold your inner state with firmness, the outer world eventually reorganizes to reflect that firmness. Life must follow the command of a disciplined mind. People often misunderstand ruthlessness as hardness toward others, but the true meaning is hardness toward the forces that seek to weaken your spirit. It is the refusal to let anxiety dictate your decisions. It is the refusal to let fear forecast your future. It is the refusal to let past wounds repeat themselves. It is the refusal to let the world convince you that you are anything less than powerful. To be ruthless is to be devoted to truth, to clarity, to intention, to inner peace. It is the commitment to controlling the only thing you ever truly can, your inner world. When you do this, you become free from the emotional storms that once seemed inevitable. The power that comes from inner mastery is not loud or forceful. It is steady, calm, and deeply rooted. When you speak from conviction. When you move with certainty. When you choose with confidence. You do not rush, you do not panic, you do not collapse. You trust the unseen. You hold the vision. You maintain your inner state even when nothing external validates it. This is where true power lives, in the ability to hold a mental picture with such unwavering conviction that the world eventually yields to it. Those who master the inner world understand that physical reality is slow-moving compared to the speed of thought, but it always follows thought eventually. The key is maintaining the thought long enough for the physical to catch up. Ruthlessness is also required because the world often reflects the opposite of what you desire before it reflects what you intend. This is where most people break. They begin with hope, but when results do not appear instantly, they return to fear. When circumstances contradict their vision, they abandon the vision. When pressure increases, they collapse inward. But the one who masters their inner world does the opposite. When external pressure intensifies, they become more focused. When doubt tries to arise, they reinforce their faith. When contradiction appears, they strengthen their affirmation. They do not waver, and because they do not waver, circumstances eventually shift in their favor. Mastery of the inner world requires constant awareness. You must catch your thoughts as they arise. You must question the validity of negative ideas. You must override emotional reactions with deliberate intention. You must choose faith when fear seems easier. You must choose clarity when confusion tries to cloud your mind. You must choose confidence even when the path is still unfolding. This commitment is lifelong, but its rewards are profound. You become unbreakable, not because the world becomes easier, but because you become stronger. You become centered, not because life stops challenging you, but because you stop collapsing under the weight of those challenges. You become effective, not because everything goes your way, but because you remain aligned regardless of what happens around you. The world cannot break a person who has mastered themselves. The world can only break the parts of you that remain unclaimed. And so, ruthless mastery over your inner world is the foundation of true power, the source of true freedom, and the key to shaping a life that reflects intention rather than fear. The world mirrors your vibration, so guard your thoughts like a sacred gate, because every idea you allow to settle in your mind becomes a seed that eventually grows into the circumstances of your life. The universe responds not to your wishes, but to the quality of energy you maintain on a consistent basis. Your vibration is shaped by your dominant thoughts, your emotional tone, your self-concept, and the expectations you carry. This vibration announces to the world what you believe to be true, what you feel is possible, and what you are prepared to receive. When you understand this, you begin to see why guarding your inner world is not optional. It is essential. Every thought becomes a messenger, every emotion becomes a signal, and every belief becomes an instruction to life itself. Most people move through the world unconscious of their dominant vibration. They react to circumstances, absorb the emotions of others, entertain ideas that weaken them, and replay fears that do not serve them. They let the opinions of the world dictate their inner state, not realizing that by doing so, they are reinforcing the very conditions they want to escape. When you allow the outer world to influence your vibration, you become a receiver of whatever thoughts and energies happen to pass your way. Without guarding your inner gate, you become vulnerable to doubt, uncertainty, negativity, and limitation. And, because vibration attracts matching experiences, these energies manifest in your life as obstacles and confusion. Guarding your thoughts like a sacred gate means becoming selective about what you permit to enter your consciousness. Not every idea deserves access. Not every emotion deserves to be entertained. Not every belief deserves to be accepted. You must become the keeper of your mind, discerning and deliberate. If a thought weakens you, it must be dismissed. If a belief contradicts your vision, it must be replaced. If an emotion drains your power, it must be transmuted. This is not suppression, it is spiritual discipline. It is the understanding that your mind is the creative center of your reality, and therefore anything that enters it must be in alignment with the life you intend to build. Your vibration is constantly broadcasting signals, whether you are aware of it or not. When you think thoughts of abundance, confidence, and possibility, you radiate an energy that attracts matching experiences. When you think thoughts of fear, lack, or failure, you emit a frequency that draws similar outcomes. Life is not punishing or rewarding you, it is responding to you. It is reflecting your inner state with perfect precision. This is why two people can experience the same situation, but interpret it in completely different ways. One sees opportunity because their vibration is aligned with possibility. The other sees threat because their vibration is aligned with fear. The situation is neutral. The vibration determines the meaning. Guarding your inner gate also means monitoring your emotional atmosphere. Emotions are the fuel that intensifies the power of your thoughts. A fearful thought charged with emotion becomes a magnet for more fear. A confident thought charged with emotion becomes a magnet for success. Emotions either amplify your vibration or weaken it. This is why emotional discipline is essential. You must learn to observe your emotions without becoming enslaved by them. When fear arises, you acknowledge it, but you do not feed it. When doubt arises, you see it, but you do not energize it. When old memories try to drag you into past patterns, you refuse to repeat them. Instead, you choose emotions that support your intentions: peace, confidence, expectancy, gratitude, certainty. These emotions elevate your vibration and create a mental atmosphere that attracts alignment rather than conflict. Your thoughts must be guarded against the influence of external negativity as well. The world is filled with fear-based narratives, limiting beliefs, and collective assumptions about struggle and scarcity. If you are not vigilant, these ideas can slip into your consciousness and begin shaping your vibration. This is why you must be careful with the voices you listen to, the environments you enter, the conversations you entertain, and the content you absorb. Everything carries a vibration, and if you expose yourself to destructive energy for long enough, it begins to seep into your own field. Guarding your inner gate means creating boundaries that protect your mind from influences that do not support your growth. You do this not out of fear, but out of respect for your own power. You must also guard your vibration from the habits of the past. The mind tends to repeat what is familiar, even if it is harmful. Old patterns of worry, self-doubt, and negative self-talk can linger if left unchecked. Guarding your thoughts means recognizing these patterns the moment they arise and refusing to identify with them. Instead of letting an old belief replay, you pause and replace it with a new declaration. Instead of letting fear dictate your mood, you redirect your focus to something empowering. Instead of letting past failures shape your future expectations, you rewrite the script by affirming a new outcome. This constant redirection is how your vibration begins to shift. And once your dominant vibration changes, your entire reality follows. Your vibration is your greatest asset because it is the foundation upon which all manifestations are built. Opportunities align with you based on your energy. Relationships form based on your energy. Success flows based on your energy. Even challenges are interpreted based on your energy. When you guard your vibration with seriousness and intentionality, you create a field around you that becomes impervious to the negativity of the world. You begin to attract people and experiences that resonate with your inner clarity, and you naturally repel anything that contradicts your truth. Life starts to feel less like resistance and more like flow. As you elevate your vibration, you begin to notice subtle changes in your experiences. Situations that once overwhelmed you no longer carry the same weight. People who once drained you no longer affect you. Obstacles that once seemed impossible begin to dissolve with ease. Solutions appear more quickly. Insights become clearer. Opportunities show up unexpectedly. This is not luck, it is alignment. It is the outward reflection of an inward transformation. The world can only mirror what you project, so when your inner world strengthens, your outer world must adjust accordingly. To guard your thoughts like a sacred gate is to recognize that your mind is the origin of your reality and that nothing can enter it unless you allow it. You become intentional with your focus, deliberate with your attention, selective with your emotions, and discerning with your beliefs. You stop absorbing the energy of the world and instead begin shaping the world through the energy you carry. This is true power, not force, not control over others, but mastery over yourself. When your vibration becomes your priority, life begins responding to you with a precision that feels almost magical, yet it is simply the natural law of alignment at work. Unwavering faith dissolves fear and bends circumstances in your favor, because faith is the energy that commands the unseen forces of life to move on your behalf. Fear closes doors, but faith opens them. Fear contracts, but faith expands. Fear weakens your vibration, but faith elevates it to a level where solutions, opportunities, and breakthroughs can reach you. Faith is not wishful thinking or blind optimism. It is the certainty that what you desire is already established in the invisible before it appears in the visible. When this certainty becomes the atmosphere of your mind, external circumstances lose their power to intimidate you. You stop reacting to what is and begin responding to what will be, because your faith has already decided the outcome. Unwavering faith is not something that arrives fully formed. It is built through practice, through choosing trust when fear tries to rise, through affirming your vision when evidence is absent, through standing firm when circumstances contradict your intention. The world constantly tests the strength of your faith by presenting situations that seem impossible or discouraging. These moments are not punishments. They are opportunities to strengthen your inner power. When you choose faith in the presence of fear, you dissolve the fear. When you choose certainty in the presence of doubt, you weaken the doubt. When you choose your vision in the presence of contradiction, you align yourself with the very forces that will bring that vision into reality. Faith works because it shifts your vibration. It places you in harmony with the outcomes you seek. When your vibration aligns with your desire, the universe responds. This alignment does not mean that challenges disappear instantly. It means that challenges lose their ability to control your mind. You become steady, calm, and inwardly grounded. Instead of panicking, you think clearly. Instead of doubting, you hold to your intention. Instead of collapsing, you rise. This steadiness creates openings where previously there seemed to be none. It attracts unexpected help, synchronistic timing, new ideas, and better solutions. Faith reshapes your inner state, and your inner state reshapes your circumstances. Fear, on the other hand, clouds your judgment and distorts your perception. When you are afraid, everything appears bigger than it is. Problems seem unsolvable. Options seem limited. The future looks threatening. Fear narrows your awareness and traps you in a cycle of negative expectation. This expectation becomes a magnet that attracts more of the same energy. That is why people who fear failure often continue to fail, not because they deserve it, but because fear itself is a creative force producing undesirable outcomes. But when you replace fear with faith, the entire pattern reverses. You begin to expect good things. You begin to trust that the right opportunities are on their way. You begin to feel guided rather than threatened. This new expectation becomes a magnet for success rather than struggle. Unwavering faith is not passive. It is an active force that shapes your actions, your decisions, and your words. When you believe in your vision, you speak differently. Your words carry authority. You no longer say, "I hope," or "maybe someday." You speak with assurance. You no longer act hesitantly, you act with conviction. You no longer doubt your right to receive, you claim what is yours, mentally long before it arrives physically. This mental claiming is the beginning of manifestation. The universe cannot deny a mind that has already accepted its desire as truth. This kind of faith also influences how you respond to delays. Delays no longer discourage you because you understand that timing is part of alignment. You trust that what is yours cannot be taken, what is meant for you cannot miss you, and what is unfolding is doing so in the perfect order. Instead of forcing outcomes, you allow them. Instead of doubting the process, you cooperate with it. This cooperation opens doors that struggle would never open. You begin to feel supported, guided, and carried by something greater than your own effort. The moment your faith becomes unwavering, fear loses its influence. Fear only thrives in the absence of certainty. Once you decide that your vision is non-negotiable, fear has no room to operate. You stop entertaining, "What if it fails?" and begin thinking, "What if it works in ways I cannot yet see?" You stop imagining worst-case scenarios and start imagining best-case possibilities. You stop rehearsing disappointment and start rehearsing victory. These inner rehearsals shape your emotional atmosphere, and your emotional atmosphere becomes the blueprint for your future. Unwavering faith also changes the way you interpret adversity. Instead of seeing challenges as signs that you are off track, you see them as part of the process. You recognize that some obstacles arise to redirect you to something better. Some appear to strengthen your clarity, Some come to teach discernment. Some exist simply to prove the power of your own spirit. With faith, adversity becomes information rather than intimidation. You observe it, learn from it, and move forward without losing your center. This ability to remain internally stable in unstable circumstances is what bends those circumstances in your favor, because stability is power. Faith creates a field of expectancy that life must respond to. When you expect good, you notice opportunities you would have otherwise ignored. When you expect progress, you take actions aligned with progress. When you expect success, you naturally place yourself in environments and situations where success is likely. Your behavior shifts to match your belief, and the world shifts to match your behavior. Faith is not magic in the fantasy sense. It is magic in the spiritual sense, the alignment of thought, emotion, and action with the highest possible outcome. You develop unwavering faith by training your mind to focus on what you desire rather than what you fear. You repeat truths until they sink into your subconscious. You visualize the outcome as if it is already yours. You affirm your power even when circumstances try to challenge it. You hold your vision regardless of delay. You act in accordance with the future you have chosen. You consistently choose thoughts that strengthen you, feelings that empower you, and beliefs that support your destiny. Over time, this consistency hardens your foundation until fear can no longer uproot it. The moment fear no longer controls you, life begins to align with your intentions. You walk differently, you speak differently, you move differently. Fear has no place where faith has taken root. And when your faith becomes a permanent atmosphere within you, circumstances, no matter how difficult, begin to rearrange themselves around your certainty, because the outer world must eventually match the inner world you refuse to abandon.